Hey everyone, I'm Mike Dahl. I'm a personal injury lawyer based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Been helping injured people get compensation for wrongs done to them for my entire career. And in that capacity, I've met a lot of people with a lot of questions. And today I'm going to be answering some of the basic questions that you should be asking your personal injury lawyer. If you'd like more information, you can visit us at www.valiantlegal.ca or follow our Instagram page. Also, you can leave me any questions that you might have about an injury claim in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, let's get started and cover some of the basic questions that you should be asking your personal injury lawyer. The first question you should be asking your personal injury lawyer is as a basic one. How can you help me? What value can you provide to my claim? It is, the law in Nova Scotia is such that you're entitled to compensation. And so, one of the first questions that you should ask a personal injury lawyer if you sit down with him or her is, how can you help me? Are you going to add value to my claim that more than pays for the legal fees that you're going to take at the end of the day? The next question you should ask your lawyer is, how much is my case worth? It's important to understand going in where your areas of loss are and how might a lawyer be able to help you prove those losses in a way that is going to convince, maybe a hardened insurance adjuster to issue you the best possible compensation available under the law. Insurance adjusters are professional negotiators. They can come off as quite nice and empathetic, but their job, understand, is to pay you as little as possible in exchange for your signature on a release. And so it's important when you sit down with a lawyer to have that frank conversation about here's the impacts that this accident, these injuries have had on my life, and have that lawyer explain to you exactly the categories of loss that he or she's going to be able to help you prove and how he or she is going to be able to go about improving it. A question that is often asked by my clients is, look, if I settle right now, what happens if I get worse? What happens if there are injuries and consequences of an accident that aren't known right now, but will come to fruition after a settlement? It's a difficult question to answer, but the approach that I take with my clients is to encourage them to wait on a settlement until the future outcome, the future consequences are well known. If you settle too early, you run the risk of giving up your future rights in exchange for a settlement. If things don't go the way you want them to go or expect them to go, you want to make sure that you're fairly compensated for those outcomes. And at some point, doctors are able to comment on a balance of probabilities what the future holds for you. And until doctors are able to do that, you don't want to be settling with an insurance company. And once you sign that release, you can't go back for more, even if your injuries worsen. The next question you should ask your lawyer is, I don't have health insurance. I don't have health care. Who is going to pay for my treatment? The answer to that question really depends on how you were injured. In Nova Scotia, if you're injured in a car accident, you're entitled to insurance benefits that will help fund recommended therapy. If you're injured through any other means outside of a car accident, the answer isn't as simple, unfortunately. Regardless of who pays for the treatment, be it yourself, be it your private insurance, Blue Cross, for example, or be it the government through publicly funded medical care, the insurance company responsible for compensating for the injuries as a whole is ultimately responsible for reimbursing those costs. So if you're out of pocket, they'll pay you back the amount of money you've spent on your treatment. If your private insurance company is out of pocket funding your treatment, then that insurance company has a right to claim their losses from the insurance company of the person that caused your injuries in the first place. And somewhat surprisingly, the government also has that right. They can recoup the cost that they have spent on doctors and therapists. Another question you might want to ask your lawyer is, will my case go to court? It's a misconception for most folks that I talk to that hiring a lawyer means you're going to trial. And very few people want to find themselves in trial. But the reality is 95% of cases settle before trial, right? And whether a case goes to trial or not is ultimately your decision. An insurance company will offer you a certain amount of money, with the help of a good experienced lawyer like us at Valiant Legal. That sum of money hopefully is a really good sum of money that compensates you fully for all your losses and the impacts that an accident and injuries may have had on your quality of life. but you may not find it to be a satisfactory sum of money. And in those cases, you have the right to go to trial. You have the right to have a judge tell all the parties how much compensation you deserve. But the decision is ultimately yours, and we'll cover, what goes into that in another video. Good question is, how long do cases typically take to settle? The answer isn't an easy one. Maybe it's unfair to say it depends, but it depends. It depends on the nature of your injuries, the degree in which those injuries have impacted your life, and frankly, it can depend on the type of insurance adjuster that you have on the other side. All those factors play into the length of time it's going to take for you to get a settlement. If your injuries resolve fully within a year and your doctors are saying, look, you're out of the woods, that's a case that should be able to settle within about a year. If you find yourself in an unfortunate situation where your injuries persist after a year, particularly where those injuries, continue to impact functioning, it's going to take longer. And that's because, the value of your claim is larger, and insurance adjusters, trying to keep as much money in their pockets as possible, will fight harder against your claim. Those are some answers to common questions that you should be asking your personal injury lawyer. It's my hope that these answers have been helpful to you. We'll be answering more questions in future videos.